By the light of the sun, by the depth of the moon, by the flame of the wand, and by the pentacle of earth, I call upon the guides of wisdom, the ancestors of the craft, and the holy guardian angel. Guide us now through the stations of the dove and serpent. Reveal what is hidden, so we may transform it into light. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Today we walk the path of the dove and serpent spread, an 11-fold journey of transformation. Each position reveals a unique aspect of your journey, alternating between the essence of your being and the events that shape your destiny. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aquarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. We start with the Hanged Man. This is the first position. The station reveals your sense of self, kind of our continuing preoccupation, the state of our ego right now. And the Hanged Man reflects your core energy. And to me, this is someone who is sacrificing and suffering for the sake of something else. Giving of yourself, being willing to go without so that something else can receive more. You're giving the shirt off your back to something, okay? And that's kind of, this is the way you see yourself. You're making a lot of sacrifices for something. And this could be very positive or not so much. We need to look at our other cards, obviously. But you're somebody who's willing to sacrifice for something that you believe in. Let's make sure you still believe in it. Something that you love. Let's make sure you still love it. Okay? Something that is worth your sacrifice. Something that is worthy of your sacrifices. Okay? And to me, this is sometimes, us getting the ego out of the way so that we can be of service to that higher factor, that higher principle in our life, our destiny, right? The voice of our own soul, that we can let our true selves sort of take over, right? The Hanged Man is sort of letting go and letting God, So I think this is something that's been on your mind lately. So it's kind of asking, where have you been really sacrificing? Where have you been making sacrifices? And why? And to what? To what end? Okay? And how is this shaping your world? Are we becoming a little bit cold? Are we becoming bitter? Are we becoming kind of run down? Are we thinking about quitting, giving up, throwing in the towel, waving the white flag? Okay. How long have we been in this position? How did we get here? Where are we going from here? We need to put this card into a little bit of context. Okay. So, there's the Fool. Now, Aquarius, you're not sent here by accident, okay? You were meant to find this message. This message was meant to find you. We have the Death card. We have the Magician. Oh, we have the Magician. We have the Empress, okay? Are we going to go... We're going to go 6 for 6? The Chariot. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. All major arcana cards. Wow, we got to ring the bell for that. Where's the bell? I don't remember the last time this happened, where we have all major arcana energies on the path of the dove. This represents your current situation. I feel like Spirit has taken over your life right now, and your destiny is unfolding fantastically. Your ego has gotten out of the way, okay? And Spirit is taken over and is directing your life and transforming your life from what it was to what it shall become, that Empress life, okay? Path of the Serpent, we have, even more major arcana, the Moon, the Wheel of Fortune, holy smokes. The Universe card, okay? And the Devil card at the end, wow. I mean, this is crazy. I don't even, I don't know what to say. This is all major arcana energy. I think we had this once, like a couple years ago. I don't know if it was for you, Aquarius. I kind of feel like maybe it was for Virgo. This is nuts. This is absolutely, I don't know what to do with this sometimes, right? What we should do is select the mystery card. Bonus card, confirmation card. This is going to be a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. The factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here and put our little octopus friend, the Eight of Tentacles, right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of this reading. So you do have to stick around till the end, okay? If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. Now, as we look around the room, we see all major arcana energies. That was easy, right? All major arcana. And to me, this tells me that spirit is really present and active in your life. You're somebody that has right now a very strong connection with spirit, with your guides, your guardian angel, whatever you want to call it, God, goddess, deity. Your ego is here, but I feel like your ego is kind of getting out of the way. Because that's our first card. And I really feel like this is the ego being willing to suffer and sacrifice for the sake of this spiritual energy. I feel like you are being brought to your destiny. I feel like spirit is carrying you forward right now. Okay? And wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, you're trusting in this energy. You're trusting in this feeling that just says, I'm going with the flow. I've surrendered to the will of the divine. And my life is unfolding the way it's supposed to. Of course, we have a battle position, position 2, card number 2, the battlefield. And it represents a task or a quest for you. And I think that maybe Spirit is calling you to a new quest. Yeah. The events in your life right now that are kind of testing your resolve, testing your strength, testing your ability to sort of accept and surrender. So when we have a Fool, it kind of is this, it is, that we've been called to a new quest, and I feel like you're answering the call. You're being summoned to a new adventure in your life, and I feel like you're responding to that summons. But this is asking, like, how are we making that transition? Are we going with the flow? Are we trying to swim upstream? Are we trying to go against the current? Are we protesting? Do we have any kind of internal resistance? But with this Hanged Man card, I feel like, no, we don't. I feel like the ego is accepting the reality here. So there's an indication that maybe something that the ego really was clinging to, something that ego really cherished, is gone. And it means that we now are emerging as something new, something different. We could be on this path now of, like, my old persona has gone the way of the white elephants, right? My old persona is gone here. It's in the past. And so now we feel like we are raw. We are exposed. We're back to square one. I'm back to being a kid again. I'm back to not knowing what I'm doing. So I wonder if you've had a big transition in your life already where something major has ended, something that we've identified with, right, has been removed from our lives. The mask has come off. Okay? You were the magician, now you're the fool. Usually it's the other way around. Usually Spirit is showing us how we are the fool, and we need to remember that we are the magician. But here, you've had that magician energy, now we've been stripped of it. And so, maybe this stripping down, this breaking down, this release, this kind of getting back to just the essence of who we are is really a spiritual reawakening, a spiritual rebirth, a renewal for you. Okay? This is extraordinary. I don't think I've seen, I think that what I'm remembering from a couple years ago, I don't think it was every card was a major arcana card. I think it was like, 9 out of 10 were majors, but maybe the mystery card will give us 11 out of 11. Yeah. So this anyway is where we are being told to surrender and let go and go with the flow here, not cling to this previous persona that's been stripped away from us, that we've been broken down in some way to our essential self, pure spirit. And from here, we grow, we rebuild, we follow the path ahead of us. We're being called to a new adventure. It could be that you're in the middle of a big transition in life. Maybe going from school, and we're sort of graduating that school, right? or we've had a long career in business, and now that sort of has ended. We've had a long run at something, and now we're kind of going back to basics, or going back to our essential self, going back to the uncarved block. This is culture. This is nurture. This is nature. This is the uncarved block. This is the refinement. This is talent. This is skill. So we're stripping down, and we're getting back to the raw talent, getting back to that raw spirit of our lives, okay? In some way, whether this has to do mostly with like your career, maybe your physical work, maybe your family stuff. I don't know if this is, whatever it is. Maybe there's a rite of passage that you're going through, okay? So right now, this is kind of talking about how we are responding to the changes in life, and maybe this is a sudden change, and suddenly we find ourselves now stripped of everything we thought we were. That entire persona now is kind of it's been that magician energy, that costume kind of thing has been gone, has been stripped from us. We sort of feel naked out here, And these kind of represent how we're responding to this. I think your ego is being asked to sacrifice, to make sacrifices, to go with the flow, to surrender to some new current of energy. And the Fool is saying, let's go. Let's leap into it. I'm ready. Whatever life's going to do, I'm ready. I'm not even going to worry about the past. I'm not going to worry about what was already there as water under the bridge. I'm ready to go. Ready to take this... ready to answer the call here, okay? Position 3 under the surface here is your soul position. It reveals sometimes the unconscious drives. So everything that, every major arcana card in the tarot is trying to teach the Fool how to be the magician. And that's very interesting because we can see that you were the magician before. Maybe this is really the essence of things that says, hey, you forgot. You forgot that you were the magician, or, we're going through that transition where it's kind of like we have to forget who we are in order to build up who we're becoming. That we're losing ourselves in order to find ourselves. So it's kind of like the Fool is going through this process again. And I don't know if maybe you are going through a certain ordeal or a rite of passage or a certain spiritual initiation that is on now a higher level. There's initiations and rites of passages happen continuously throughout our lives. And so maybe this is saying that, I've built up myself in one particular way, and now I'm ready to be broken down just to my essential self, being stripped of everything except my soul, and to rebuild, myself in another way. It could be that you're reinventing yourself right now. Okay. But under the surface, in the soul position, it reveals the kind of landscape that's underneath everything. And this is the card, obviously, of death and rebirth. So I feel like you are going through a rebirth process right now in life. And this is a card of grieving and releasing the past in order to embrace the future, making room for the future. The death card is the nature of nature. It's change. The fundamental force of the universe. You are undergoing a spiritual transformation right now before our very eyes, okay? And, I wonder if this is, in some ways, Aquarius, because we have this moon card here as your general energy, this really is in the persona position, and it's a Pisces card. I wonder if this is talking about your evolution into the sign of Pisces, where we're entering a realm of new new instruction. Okay, you're being. It's like the initiate is being stripped of their sort of earthly or mundane persona, and that naked initiate is being brought into the temple to be trained and taught and initiated into the mysteries. Okay, and so it's kind of like we have to put all of that's why when you enter into the temple, you change your clothes, right? I don't wear my street clothes into my temple or my meditation room or that sort of thing. You sort of change outfits, and I think that we're in a way we're embracing the beginner mentality again. We're embracing kind of that white belt energy, that neophyte energy. And it may be that you're your soul is undergoing that transition from Aquarius to Pisces. Okay? And you might be receiving a really intense kind of download, or really like an upgrade. Okay? I think that you're suddenly receiving a lot of instruction. You're going to be developing a lot of new abilities, honestly. I feel like you're going to find a lot more psychic energy being active inside of you. Okay? Maybe dream work in particular. You may have already noticed that has started. You may have consciously kind of, felt the call, heard the call to enter into this kind of dream magic space, and the lucid dreaming, intentional dreaming, the sort of astral space, right? And so I feel like you've already noticed that sort of thing happening, and it's already beginning to manifest for you. But back here to that death card, right? This is that process of change and transformation, that steady evolution of our souls over the course of time. I feel like you've been having a lot of past life memories. I think that you even have been getting visions of future life memories, okay? I think that there is a deep spiritual awareness in you that your soul has been continuously evolving over, thousands, millions, infinite years, right? Eons and eons. But this card, in a very practical sense, is about letting go of the past in order to make room for the future. It's the great recycler, right? It's recyclops. And it's saying that every experience is a necessary experience. Everything that we are, everything that we've ever been, when it's no longer useful for us, we break it down, and it's just like digestion. We digest it. You eat food. What does your body do? It breaks it down into its key components and absorbs what it needs, and it gets rid of the rest, right? Well, that's what this is all about. This is about transforming, transmutation. Who we have been, now, since that persona or that aspect of ourself, that face, that mask, that costume is no longer needed, it's being broken down and into its constituent pieces, and we're absorbing what we need, we're getting rid of the rest, and then we're going to build up something new. We're going to reinvent ourselves in a way. So in a very practical way, I feel that you've been, kind of internally discarding a lot of things that are no longer serving you, clearing out space, right? Getting ready for this transformation, even though maybe consciously you didn't know it was happening. I think you notice a lot of things are kind of simplifying in your life. A lot of things are kind of like calming down and going away, and a lot of things maybe don't seem as important to you anymore. Kind of like we're getting back to basics. It feels like things are being stripped down to their essence, and the essence is what we're keeping, and the husk, the fibrous material is kind of what we don't need, right? It's the insoluble kind of fiber that we discard, right? And we're keeping the rest, and we're building up the new material, same way you would. At the end of the season, you harvest your garden, and then the plants break down, and you sort of till them. You get rid of the non-essential material, but all of the nutrients are now in the soil, and you just sort of churn the soil and till it, and it's ready for planting. Okay. So let's look at position 4, because this is the dwarf position. This is what's behind you. The events or the patterns that are kind of in the recent past, and this is, of course, the magician, right? And this is the persona, this is the mask that we've worn. And now it feels like this version of myself is no longer needed. So we've broken it down, and we've kept the essence. And this is, of course, with the Hanged Man, your surrender to that process. Usually we'd see some other small cards here, which would kind of show that you're in your ego, in your human nature, but we're still sort of clinging to this old persona. But I feel like you're able to slip in and out of it at will, kind of. So the Hanged Man is kind of very easily letting this go. Whoever this was, whatever the archetype was that you were identified with, whether you were a mother, a father, a teacher, a student, a lover, a friend. That's kind of a role if you were literally the magician, if you were the artist, if you were the teacher, the banker, the business person, if you're the mystic, whatever. I feel that this is now something that we say, okay, I don't need to be that person anymore. And that's okay. We're still keeping the essential parts of it. Maybe this was a younger, immature version of ourselves, and we're ready to sort of shed our skin. We're ready to molt, And I wonder if something that's emerging for you has something to do with that Empress energy, okay? Because that may feel like that's kind of the new energy that is developing within you, is that maternal kind of energy. It could be that this, again, was our younger selves, and this is now going to be a more matured version of ourselves. But I like that we're not clinging to this, okay? Because very often we cling to the persona, the mask that we've worn, and we don't want to let it go. And so you see people who are, my age, still pretty much in the same energy they were in when they were like 15, 16 years old, And I think there's still parts of me that are 15 years old. But, we keep the essence, but we realize that we have to shed the skin and we have to grow. And so this personality that was serving you so well in the past isn't serving you so well now. Spirit's saying it's time for change. Spirit's saying we're entering a new dark, scary forest. You're entering the next station, the next temple, the next initiation in your life. And it may really come at significant times. It may be, I'm going from school to career, going from career to retirement, going from raising kids to then the kids are gone, going from being, in a marriage to now I'm a single person again or something. Or, that we are, it could be something taking place at the Saturn return, okay, that could be coming up for you. And this is us knowing that our persona, while it comes out of us, it is a facet of our essential magical personality. It's just one aspect of us. It's just one face that we can wear. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like we have this mask, but it's not an external mask that we just take and we put on. It kind of sort of grows out of us. And then when we're done with it, it sort of absorbs back in a way, right? And it was kind of weird. Weird image anyway. But to me, it feels that we're able to identify with our core spirit. We're not so identified with the mask that we're clinging to this and we're lamenting the fact that it's been transformed now, that it's kind of, it's gone, okay? The Empress is your driving force up top, position 5, the giant. This is that creative impulse, the personal virtue that's propelling us forward. For one thing, I think you can feel the love from the universe. You know that the universe loves you. Spirit loves you. You are very intimately connected with the spiritual forces that are around you. I think you have a connection with your spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, God, goddess, deity, universal mind, universal energy, spirit guides, ancestors, holy guardian angel, any of those terms. This is that love, that protection, and that nourishment, I think, that you feel, okay? It kind of is a way, it almost feels as if we're being incubated again. Feels like there's a return to this womb state. And there's warmth and there's comfort there, and we know that we're being reborn into a different path, a different role, a different version of ourselves. Okay? And I think that there's a possibility that your next role is going to involve some kind of healing others. Some kind of, I don't know, maybe this is, this could be that we're being initiated into parenthood or something, right? In a literal way, this is the mother card, or the parent card, really. And it could be that we are we're realizing that our role in life is changing, and we're taking on more of a mature role of providing for others in some way. Okay, could be that you right now are feeling very motivated toward being of service and giving and providing and this sort of compassion, healing others. I think you're probably a healer, whether this is a spiritual healing or physical, mental, emotional healing. Yeah. And this is primarily, this is the love that you feel around you, the love of spirit supporting you, that is giving you the power to move ahead. Okay? It's, and really it's kind of the, that maternal energy of the universe supporting the fool, saying, you can do it. Go ahead. Kind of like the mama bird pushing the fledglings out of the nest, in a way. But position 6 is the imago. This is the event, the next steps for you, the immediate consequences of your actions. It's the Chariot. And in this sense, the Chariot is us putting on the new persona, building up that new version of ourselves, because the fool is just kind of, you're just sort of, kind of in your underclothes, and now you're putting on that armor. Now you're putting on the suit. Now we're kind of doing the work where we have the discipline. We're steering the chariot. We're learning, we're growing, we're practicing, because we have this devotion. And so like you're being called to this new version of yourself, this new life, this new role. And the Chariot then represents like we're getting a move on. We're doing it. We're getting behind the wheel and we're giving it a drive. We're learning how to do it. We're learning the ropes. We're practicing. We're preparing. And there's a certain loyalty, a certain discipline here. Okay. And to be honest with you, it sort of feels that there's a definite, family vibe here. And I would even venture a guess to say some of you are starting a family very soon. Some of you, whether we're having kids or we're acquiring kids or we're entering into a relationship where suddenly we have a family situation going on, I feel like that's going to be true for a lot of you. That there's an orientation toward a family thing, a group of people, whether it's blood family, chosen family, step family, whatever, doesn't matter. That there is this love and this nurturing and this caring for other people that's taking place for you. Because it feels as if you are in service to something higher than just you. The ego is learning the loyalty to this higher purpose. And that's what the Chariot is. We're the vehicle of our own destiny. So the ego may be the one who's got their hands upon the wheel, but it's not for the ego's gratification. It's for something that's more, something that's bigger than us. So it's the family, it's the universe, it's the neighborhood, it's the community, it's the company, it's the world, it's the whole universe itself. So I guess with this card, we sort of ask, what is it that you're in service to? What are you being called to do? And how can you continue to align your choices with this role, with this commitment, this loyalty, and this devotion? Okay? So what are you in service to, and how do you need to handle the next few steps? Yeah. Now we're going to talk about the path of the serpent. As we do this, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, please do. The readings are totally free. And if there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. So your persona, your general energy, this shows our current persona. And right now it's darkness. Okay? So as we lose the old mask, we sort of we have not yet created the next one. So we're in the dark, scary forest. And we're searching, we're figuring it out. We're going through the fear, we're going through the trials and tribulations, we're going through that, we're undergoing that spiritual operation of losing the old mask and finding the new one. This is a divine doorway. This is a threshold. And I think that for you in your human consciousness, in your ego consciousness, there's fear. We're kind of meeting the guardian at the threshold here, the guardian of the gate. We're in the dark, scary forest. And the fool, in your soul is saying, let's go into the dark, scary forest. Yeah, let's go. Let's just jump right in there. But then the ego is kind of like, okay, it's not a fun thing. It's not a vacation, right? And this is again, it's kind of a dark doorway. So right now, because this is literally the position of the persona, and right now the social face that we wear, the mask that we're wearing is not there. Okay, so to me it feels like we're in a period of time where we're very, very vulnerable. We're very sensitive. Okay, and right now we have to be very protective of our energy. I'm surprised we don't have the Hermit card here, because I kind of feel that you have to be very aware of what energies you're letting in right now. Okay, because if we are in a spiritual sense, if we're in the dark, scary forest, it means it kind of like, it leaves our body vulnerable, right? It leaves our let's say human ego or our mind sort of undefended, when our soul is in this the trip to the underworld, let's say, or that dark, scary forest, or the dark sea, the nighttime sort of ocean voyage. Yeah, and so we have to be very careful and very protective over our energy right now. So do rituals of like aura cleansing. Make sure you take care of your physical health, and your mental health, and obviously spiritual health. If you have rituals of banishing, if you have modes of protection, you do amulets, or you do herb bundles, you do smudging, things like this, a lot of meditation, prayer, this sort of thing, sigils, whatever it is that you do, employ those. Okay. Have you ever seen that show? I think it's on like the MGM network or something. It's called From. And it's about a bunch of people that sort of get stuck in this little town and they can't get out of it. And then at nighttime, these monsters come out. And the only way to protect themselves from the monsters are these little amulets that you have to put on your door, and you have to shut your doors and put the amulets on there, and then they can't get in. I love that show. I don't know. I think it's called From. But that's kind of what it feels like here. It feels that we're in this very almost, dangerous place, and we need to make sure that we set up the protection. Spiritually vulnerable right now. Yeah. And it's because we don't have that persona on anymore. We don't have that protective interface with the world, and so we're very susceptible to other vibrations. So we need to do these things that can protect us. Okay? And very important that we do that. We keep, and I feel like you have some kind of an amulet, or some sort, maybe you wear a crucifix or some other kind of religious symbol. And I think that it really, you have those systems already set up for yourself. And now's the time to employ them, as many of them as you can. All right? But they need to work for you. There's no point in wearing the crucifix if you're not of that faith. You know what I mean? If it doesn't mean anything to you, it won't have a power for you. The next card that we see is position number 8, and it is it's the shadow position, which is interesting. This is the event in your life that is sometimes uncovering some shadow stuff for you. And the Wheel of Fortune is kind of this card of divine timing. This is a Jupiter energy. This is a time of expansion. This is the time for us to have faith, hope, and trust in the process. Trust the process, right? So I think that it represents those external events that seem to be part of the natural cycles of things. Again, it could be the Saturn return. It could be, that moment that we all face when a loved one passes, or when we sort of are transitioning from one phase of life to another. It seems like it's a natural cycle. It's not a human schedule. It's kind of saying it happens when it happens. It's not anything we can do to slow this down. It's saying, when my Saturn return comes, that's it. I can't can't speed it up or slow it down. I can just prepare for it, and I can deal with it in an appropriate way. So there are things that are happening in your life that you have no control over, and it is this transition of sort of the reinvention of self, or the call to the new adventure, the summons to the next role for you in your life. Okay. I feel that Spirit has your best interest in mind, in heart. And I think that this is something that is happening for your benefit. It is a method, or it is a process through which you're going to grow and expand in your life. Okay, we're not backsliding, we're not losing progress. And I feel like you know that. I feel like you have that sort of faith and trust. And you understand that, the divine timing, when Spirit says it's time, we don't really get to protest much. The divine timing, the Wheel of Fortune, does not require our approval. It doesn't even require our participation. It's happening when it happens, whether we're on board or not. And so we could have a lot of small cards here that would show a lot of difficulty, a lot of friction, a lot of resistance. You don't have the resistance. I feel like you're not resisting this process at all. That you understand that this is an initiation, and you're going through it with courage, but not even really with courage, just with acceptance. All right, we don't have the cards of courage here, do we? We don't have the strength card. We don't have any of the Aries types of energies. You're sort of going through this, I don't want to say easily, but without friction. You're going with the current. You're letting yourself be guided through this process so that there is the least amount of friction possible, right? And I think that's probably the better way to go, right? The next card is, of course, position number 9. It's a fear, worry, and concern. And it's called the Spectre. This is the Universe card. Okay? And sometimes this is, maybe how our fear would limit our potential. Okay? And this really is the card of, it's the card of conclusions. So I think that if there was a real fear here, it would be that we get lost in the astral, that we get lost in the underworld, that we get lost in this interior, dark, scary forest kind of energy. That if it is a dark night of the soul, we get lost in there. And we don't want to get lost in there, right? I think that if there was a fear, it would be that the universe is a cold or indifferent place, or even a hostile place. And so that's something that we need to manage, because the ego is not perfect. The ego is going to surface and feel scared about things. It's going to be uncertain. It's going to be confused. It's going to feel like right now we're just we're twisting and turning, that we're floating through outer space. And we have zero control over things. And that's kind of, you've given up control. You've surrendered to this process. We've let go. And the ego is kind of saying, now I'm scared because I feel, like an astronaut that gets sort of untethered from the space station, is just tumbling through space and has no ability. As much as you swim, you're not going to change anything, because there's nothing to swim against, So this is that feeling of kind of being lost in space. Yeah, being untethered. We may feel right now that we don't know our direction, if we really are. And maybe I kind of hope that this is going to be a card of ego. I hope it's going to be a small card. I hope it's going to be a 5 of Cups even, or a 5 of something. Because I feel like we need to acknowledge how the ego's handling all of this. I feel like the ego feels a little lost at sea. Feels like we're lost in space, that we're tumbling. We don't have a direction. We feel untethered. We don't know which way is up. In your soul and in your spirit, you know and you trust. But in ego consciousness, we might be confused, turned around. We might feel abandoned. We might feel lost. Okay. The Devil card is next. This is the destiny, right? The event kind of shows the culmination of the quest here, and some external events that are shaping our transformation. The Devil card, to me in this position anyway, is talking about us ascending the mountain, doing the hard work to get to the top. And so whatever this new path is for you, once we sort of, once the persona is formulated, okay, and sort of crystallized, and the mask is sort of completed and painted and it's ready to go, it's going to be a climb up a mountain. It's going to be a journey that takes patience and endurance and fortitude. And it's not an easy road by any means, but I feel like this is your mission in life. It's the quest, you know. And this is the engine of the car. So the fool, in the process of remembering that they're the magician or becoming the next version of themselves, the next magician energy, has to embrace their physical nature. So it's kind of like we're re-entering our physical body, and we're using the tools, we're using the equipment that we have, you know, that we were born with, or that we've acquired, you know, that we've developed in ourselves, in order to do this work that we're called on to do now. Whatever it is, whatever's coming next for you, there's another mountain to climb. And that's probably not what we really want to hear in our ego, right? We're like, oh, another mountain. But I think that this is more about you doing the physical work. Okay? We're getting in the car, and the car has to have an engine for this to go anywhere. So it's basically just saying that we're sort of re-entering our physical body. We're putting on this persona. We're developing ourselves in a particular way because we have a certain function. Right? And, you know, the way we develop is for a reason. You know, that birds have the long hooked beak or whatever, because that's good for getting the little bugs off the ground or something, right? Everything has a function. And so that's kind of what we're realizing, is that I need to grow and shape and mold myself because I have a particular function in life now. It may be different than what we had before. The old persona isn't serving us anymore because our purpose is different. As our purpose changes, then so does the nature of the equipment. So does the nature of our personality. And I think this is us understanding that in a very practical way. Okay. Let's look at our mystery card. Yeah. This is position 11. This is the guide. And this usually represents the voice of the silence within you, right? This is usually the higher self, the inner teacher, the wisdom from within, showing us the character qualities that we need to develop in order to walk the path ahead. So this might be telling you, you know, what it is that you really are going to, you know, that part of your persona that is really going to be the primary sort of tool, you know, to get the job done and whatever your next role is. I feel like this might be a small card. I feel like this might be some wands. I feel like it might be maybe some cups. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. 10 of Swords. There is part of the ego that is still clinging to the past persona, because now we're putting that energy to rest. Okay? This is the card of endings. This is the card of realizing that something isn't serving us anymore and we have to move beyond it. So again, this is kind of a confirmation of the whole thing here, that the ego needs to be able to let go of that previous persona because there's something there that isn't serving our purpose anymore. It doesn't have a function. It's kind of obsolete. Very often the 10 of Swords is a card of a desiccated energy, something that's not serving us anymore. There's no nutrition, there's no nourishment there. It's a dry hole, you know, and it's a husk. It's the bones of the fish There's no meat on there anymore. What do you do with the bones? I don't know. We don't eat them anyway, right? And so it's kind of like saying that something has served its purpose and something has already surpassed its usefulness. We don't need to cling to it. When something's no longer useful in our life and no longer has a purpose or no longer is serving our function, we don't need to cling to it. We don't need to hold on to it. So the ego is I think that's kind of what's going on right now. And again, because the ego doesn't want to feel that we're just drifting through space, lost and aimless, so we're clinging to what is familiar even though it does not serve us anymore. So let's look in our life about kind of where we might be doing that, or let's just at least be aware that this is a tendency of the ego, and so that we can see where that might start to creep in, and we can recognize it. Okay. Now please let the lessons of these 11 stations settle into your heart. Each card is a mirror, each station is a temple of transformation, alternating between who you're becoming and the world you're creating. Remember, the tarot does not dictate your future, it reveals the patterns of possibility. It invites you to co-create your destiny. If this path or this reading has illuminated your path, please share your reflections down below. Together we journey onward, ever upward and ever inward. And we're going to do an extended reading as well if you want to stick around. We'll do an I Ching hexagram, we'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner and there is a link down below. New readings for Aquarius Thursdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we are all in this together.